So there has been another Llorona sighting, and I have the photo to prove it. But first, a quick little backstory. The person who submitted this wishes to remain anonymous, so we're gonna call her April. One other thing, this story took place in Indiana, and it was not that long ago. On this particular day, it had rained all day. At about 9 p.m., the rain finally stopped, so April, her husband, and daughter decided to go out for a walk. They ended up walking down towards this lake that has a beautiful fountain and lights up at night. They also have benches right around it, so they decided to sit down and just enjoy the scenery. Not long after they sat down, they heard a woman scream. April can't describe it, but she is sure that no animal would make this sound. It sounded like a woman screaming. The screaming was coming towards the lake, but when they looked over there, they couldn't see anything. April then asked her husband if he heard it. He says he didn't hear it. It was just April and her daughter who heard it. At this point, April started to feel like she wasn't welcome, like this feeling of dread came over her. They decided to snap a couple pictures because the lake was gorgeous and they were really enjoying their time until this whole screaming thing started. It wasn't until they got home that they looked at the photos and saw it. Now this is the first photo that they took of the lake. You can see the whole outline of the lake, the fountain, the lights. It's gorgeous. Now this is the photo with her daughter in it. I want you to focus up into that corner. I'm going to show you guys a close-up. There, you can clearly see something white standing there that wasn't there before. Now here's the before and here's the after. What do you guys think?
Is this a ghost or just clever editing? This video was seemingly normal at first. Someone was sitting inside their car filming out their window, but then suddenly they catch something truly horrifying. Take a look. Hauntingly, a creepy face pops into view in the bottom left-hand corner, then quickly darts away. At first you may think, is this just someone pulling a prank? But when you pause the video, you can get a better look. The nightmarish face is pale with black hair and misshapen dark eyes. So is this a ghost or just some very clever editing? You be the judge. What do you think?
This is the craziest conspiracy theory I've ever heard.
Okay.
The hollow earth theory.
I don't know what that means. Explain it to me.
So there's this conspiracy theory that the earth, that it's actually hollow in parts of it, and a majority of it, in that there's like a whole world beneath our world.
Oh, okay.
So the theory goes that there's a world beneath our world. There's subterranean tunnels going through the whole inside of our planet, and it's connecting it, and that there's actually like oceans
Inside of Earth?
Yes, and that there's its own like miniature sun inside of it.
Come on,
to give it
bro.
like, and that there's like advanced civilizations down into the earth and just evolve to like stay down there and continue living down there. And I know it sounds crazy, right?
Yeah.
But there is this guy, okay? He was flying over a no-fly zone area of Antarctica, okay? That he saw a massive hole where he saw rivers. He just saw so many things that he couldn't explain. And when he went back there, when he got back to his base, that a man in a black suit came up and told him he never saw anything. And the theory is that there's like two main entryways on the north and the south pole.
Yeah.
And that's how they get in.
Okay.
But some people even say that it could be aliens. Like that's where the aliens are coming out. Like that they actually are flying out of there.
We gotta cut this.
No.
This is getting ridiculous.
No.
True Crime Stories Part 1. This real-life exorcism will give you the creeps. In 2016, a man by the name of Kennedy Ives lived in northern London. He began getting aggressive with his father, insulting and threatening him. At one point, he threatened to, quote, cut his penis off. It's important to note that Kennedy was also showing signs of illness and dehydration. He was getting headaches, he was having diarrhea, and he was acting irrationally, that kind of thing. But instead of seeing a doctor, this family went and saw a minister. After seeing a minister, they decided to try to give their own son an exorcism. His father, mother, and brothers tied him up with straps in the basement. And for 3 days, they had tried to perform their own exorcism, but eventually he died. At this point, one of the brothers had called the police. When asked why they didn't take him to a doctor, he said it was a domestic issue. 3 years later, they were tried and found innocent of murder.
Earth's Scariest Places, Part 56. This place is Ballygally Castle, located in Northern Ireland. It's known for its rich history and, of course, its hauntings. Sometime in the 17th century, Lord James Shaw and Lady Isabella occupied the castle. Of course, Lord Shaw wanted a male heir to pass down the kingdom to. After a string of miscarriages and female babies, Lord Shaw was getting increasingly frustrated. He gave Lady Isabella one more chance, and of course, she produced a female baby. Incredibly angry, he decided to lock her in the tower room out of frustration. Eventually, she went crazy. She wasn't allowed to leave the room. The tower was right next to the ocean, and of course, a bunch of rocks below. It got to the point where Lady Isabella couldn't take it anymore. She ended up jumping to her own death. It's said that her spirit still haunts the tower. She's actually a very nice and mischievous ghost, known for knocking on doors and moving things around the room. People have also reported seeing her in a flowing green gown, feeling cold spots, and feeling like they're being watched when they're in the room. And that's why this is one of
So apparently Disney World is haunted. There are park attendants that claim in the Mission Space ride in Disney World you can see ghostly figures. I talk about it in today's episode, but this actually makes a lot of sense. So when Mission Space first opened, it was the most controversial ride ever opened in Disney's history. If you've never ridden the ride, it's a motion simulator that simulates a trip to Mars. The original version doesn't exist anymore, but when it opened, it was so intense. In the first 3 years alone, 194 people had the paramedics called. They were getting sick, they were dizzy, people were passing out, and all Disney did was add barf bags and a motion sensor warning. But because of that, 2 people ended up dying on the ride, including a little boy. And park attendants who have worked on the ride say that it's been haunted ever since, especially in Bay 3, where a ghostly figure of a little boy can be seen running around. They also say that one day just a tiny handprint appeared on one of the vents. The ride also reportedly has a ton of technical issues, but if you say the boy's name and ask him to stop playing, apparently they stop. I shared that and more real-life scary stories on today's episode, so make sure you check it out.
Failed Doomsday Theories Part 15. Keep watching because this one is crazy. This woman here is Joanna Southcott. At age 42, she started making predictions, and surprisingly, a lot of them came true. Most notably, crop failures and famines that plagued the world. Joanna Southcott became famous for her predictions. She even wrote this book, which became a bestseller. This book built her a cult-like following of over 100,000 people. In 1813, she predicted she would give birth to the second Messiah, the second coming of Jesus Christ, despite her old age of 64. But here's the crazy part, she claimed she was a virgin. But the days came and passed, she never got pregnant and she never gave birth. There was no second Messiah and there was no rapture. It was all a hoax. This is one of the most mind-blowing.
What are some of the worst things that have ever happened at the dentist's? I'm so scared of going to the dentist, so I just stay up all night reading worst case scenarios. And before we dive in, if you have a dark curiosity, you'll love the podcast. So in 2015, it was revealed that a dentist in Florida was running a Medicare scheme by unnecessarily removing teeth from children. One of these children was a 6-year-old girl that he removed 7 teeth from. The girl had initially gone in to have 1 tooth removed, but when she was in the office for a while, her mother started getting worried. And that's when a nurse came out with red splotches all over her scrubs and said, "There's been an accident." Here's one of the moms that showed up to fight the dentist afterwards. The dentist was Dr. Howard Schneider, and he was getting paid by Medicare per tooth that he capped or extracted. And over the course of 5 years, he made $4 million doing this. And then when the report came out, another woman stepped forward saying that he had removed her son's 2 front teeth for no reason. That mom was actually deaf and couldn't hear that her son was calling for her while this was happening. Inside the reports, there's also accusations that he was hitting and choking the children. But in the end, all of the charges were dropped.
It's not my fault that you're lonely. I know you feel like having conversations, but please don't put that shit on me. No, this happy hour don't need complications. I'm doing great, I'm feeling fine. Don't need your worries on my mind. No, all by myself or another one.